Do you have advice for disclosing?
I think one part of being on the job market that has been challenging for me is knowing whether to disclose that you're autistic and when you should do that. I mask whether I want to or not in many situations until the point at which I have a lot of stress, and then sometimes I'm not able to anymore.
Is a decision that can impact work, especially if you decide not to disclose and then you find that just to get by, you have to, go over and beyond and try to break out of the things that are more difficult and mask and camouflage, and it can be very exhausting and it can lead to burnout and mental health challenges.
I think that it is very just daunting when you are applying for a job and it asks you to disclose your disability status, whether that be autism, ADHD, OCD, etc., just because it's a spectrum. And just by clicking a box, it doesn't fully encompass who a person is as a whole.
But there are benefits. You can apply for disability accommodations, and it does provide certain legal protections.
It is the difference between if you feel comfortable in the workplace, have the adequate resources, and are given the time in order to acclimate and adjust to your new environment.
And can you talk about the pros and cons of disclosing your autistic identity?
Yeah. So it is a really complex question, and I think it depends both on the person and on the circumstances.
My biggest piece of advice for disclosure is to practice in advance and practice all the different ways that a conversation could go.
So I would definitely suggest talking it through with someone you trust.
So think about what are some potential really good, encouraging responses you could receive, but then also plan for what are some neutral, like middle of the road responses that aren't necessarily bad or good. But then finally also, if you have some negative reactions, it occasionally happens, and so you want to plan in advance, how are you going to respond when that comes up?
If you feel comfortable and feel like you have established trust with your supervisor, then I'd recommend at least disclosing to them.
The second thing I suggest is that when you disclose, also have a plan to communicate to the person about what support you need. So are you just asking the person to be aware that you're autistic, or are you also going to say, hey, just so you know, I'm autistic and that means XYZ for me?
It definitely helped me being able to do my work by feeling like I didn't have to hide anything about who I am. Like, that in itself is very freeing. I couldn't really imagine myself, at least at this point in my life, not letting people that I meet know that about me, because like all the people in my life, like they know that and they love that. So why should I hide it?